Black voters in the city of Chicago are giving an earful opinion to Mayor Brandon Johnson and his administration. And there are many things impacting Brandon Johnson and his administration. For those who don't know, Chicago is also going to be home to the DNC convention between August 19th through the 22nd, and we here at Hard Lens Media will be covering it. Brandon Johnson, and also by proxy through former Mayor Lori Lightfoot, are really excited in setting up the DNC convention here in Chicago. Brandon Johnson, being the mayor, is kind of front and center with all of this. But now he's got a couple of scandals surrounding him. Chicago lobbyists escaped serious punishment for improper donations to Mayor Johnson's campaign. You got, of course, organizers trying to get, all the locals in line so that there won't be a possible, fallout with migrants coming into the city, because now the Democratic convention or organizers are leaning on locals to handle possible migrant surge. For those of you who have been following the story, Texas and the great state of Florida have been sending migrants to sanctuary cities, and Chicago is a sanctuary city in which, again, many of these migrants are in squalor conditions. And now, as we have covered on yesterday's show, there is an effort to recall Chicago's mayor. And so let's talk about this fallout. Let's address it first. So let me go ahead and hit this like button here real quick. Let me just go ahead and get this all set up so that all of you can see this article. And that way we can share it with all of you. So Dan Bolin wants transparency and accountability from Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration. Something that I agree with. I want to see that happen. And that's why less than a year in office, he said he wants Johnson out. I was not a fan of Brandon Johnson nor of his campaign. I felt it was completely fake. You have to make the mayor accountable, Bolin told NBC Chicago from a park bench across his Lakeview condo. The mayor is accountable to all voters of Chicago, not just brown Chicago or black Chicago or white Chicago. Bolin is the man behind Recall This Fall, an initiative, a ballot initiative, a city ballot initiative that would put a recall ordinance on the fall Chicago ballot. It will require 56,464 petition signatures to get there. I am in support of this due to the fact that the office of Chicago mayor is an office of dictatorial powers. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, a long time ago, the city of Chicago, a little short history lesson for all you beautiful people, was a city that was governed and ruled by the city council until Old Man Daley and his fantastic friends that would eventually set up the Democratic machine took the office of mayor and cemented it as the end-all, be-all, one-stop shop for anything to get done here for Chicago politics. Nothing happens in this city without the mayor's thumbs up or thumbs down. And as an example of just how powerful this city is, both Old Man Daley and his son, collectively, all together, ruled that office for 40-plus years. We perfected feudalism in the city of Chicago. Don't you get jelly now. The mayor tried to laugh off the idea of a recall at a news conference Wednesday. It's some dude from the suburbs who's mad about the diversity and formation in which we have put forward, he told a group of reporters at the city council meeting. Bolin bristled at the notion. First of all, he accused me of being from the suburbs yesterday, which I took personally. Which I took as a personal insult because I lived here in Chicago for 33 years. Hey, well done. All right, living in the city for quite some time. Johnson also attacked Bolin's motives, saying apparently the extreme right wing in this country are not very pleased with the fact that 60% of my administration are women, 43% of those who make up my administration are black. This isn't about being opposed to diversity, Bolin said. I'm going to tell you straight out. I have 6 nieces and nephews who are biracial. I'm proud of every single one of them. Bolin lives in Lakeview, where he's currently unemployed. He said he doesn't want the mayor's 5th floor city hall office, but he would consider it if no other opportunities materialize. The idea of allowing a recall of Chicago's mayor is not a new one. State Representative LaShawn Ford, who supports the current mayor, first introduced it in Springfield way back in 2016. He has reintroduced it 3 times since then, including while he was running for mayor himself. Sometimes things are so bad that voters have lost confidence and a trust in the elected official. Should not have to wait 4 years to deal with an elected official that has lost that trust, Ford said. Bolin will kick off his petition drive next week at a news conference. He said he is thinking about asking the mayor to attend. Mayor Johnson, come on down. You believe in transparency and accountability? Come on down and help us get this passed. We will see what happens, he said. Even if the signatures are enough to put the measure on the fall ballot, it will not automatically trigger a recall. That will require another round of petitions and a vote conducted through a special election. Which I have to say, hey, all right, let's see this happen. But first, folks, here is the mayor.
This afternoon, the Chicago Sun-Times is reporting on a petition to allow Chicagoans to recall their mayor. Former Governor Quinn is saying that you should embrace it and just see it as the democratic process. Will you embrace it, and how do you feel about this?
Well, as I understand it, apparently, the extreme right.
When the city of Chicago has millions.
By the way, he was starting to go after the extreme right. These are recent videos that came out April 17th of 2024 of black voters calling out and confronting and speaking out against Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Upon millions of dollars to give to people who ain't paid a dime into the tax base. We've been in my building for 52 years. We're about to pay some more taxes. The Jones family has been in their building for 45 years, paying taxes every year on time. So I'm asking y'all to use our tax money for our people.
But I tell you this, and I'm telling every other black alderman in here today, you vote for the money for these immigrants today, and we coming for them seats. Yeah. You can believe that. You're going to stop pimping the black people's plight to get brown people, as y'all call it, money. Now, to align yourself with somebody who's obviously a one-term mayor, if he even makes it that far, you better be worrying about your job. You better be worrying about your longevity, because we're going to vote, and we're going to get you out. Because you ain't doing right by us. That's what time it is.
All these people sitting here, they're a member of one party, the Democratic machine. These black ones do not have our interests. They work for the master.
Thank you. I need you all to stop shouting. This is now your second warning. I'm doing my best to remain patient.
Mayor, you understand what's happening in this city, right? For those of you who don't know, Chicago is a hyper-segregated city. It's enough to make Jim Crow even blush with envy. Chicago is not this bastion of liberal understanding and social justice. It's only that in name only. This city has been hyper-segregated. It would make any southern city or town look at it and say, wow, you've gone too far. This city is inherently corrupt. And I know what a lot of people are typing in the comment section below. Oh, well, you voted for this. You get what you deserve. Many Chicagoans are choosing not to engage in electoral politics because we know how corrupt the system is. The machine is starting to crack, and especially voters in the South and West Side neighborhoods are dismissing and breaking away from the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is not even bringing in new young people. It is filled up with the old guard, or those who are sycophants and loyal to the Democratic machine. That's why many of these migrants are kind of being bussed in. That's why many of them are getting special treatment, because the machine needs voters so it remains relevant. It's a depressing fact, but the machine continues to push forward and chug along because you have the same mayor here, Mayor Brandon Johnson, who did the unthinkable. Not even Lightfoot or Rahm Emanuel would have done something this stupid. But there were other meetings similar to this in which voters, citizens of Chicago were removed from that floor and could not engage.
We appreciate you participating in democracy, but I would ask that you also display some decorum. Thank you.
I want to pull up another video. This is one of those protesters and individuals speaking out against Mayor Brandon Johnson.
P. Ray of the 37th Ward. Chicago Red is our organization. Because we started this session with a prayer, I want to start my comment with the scripture. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if any provide not for his own and specifically for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. So I want to talk to y'all today about not going to hell. In the 37th ward, there was a family, the Jones family. Amarie Jones was standing in her family building that they've owned for 40 years doing a TikTok dance with her mother. A bullet came through the window, hit her in the neck. She fell to the ground in front of her mother and bled to death. A month ago on the Chicago mugshot page, her mother was on that page. Her mother had on her daughter's rest in peace t-shirt. She washed it so many times that it was completely faded out. She was completely high, out of her mind, and the charge was possession. Now, the first $51 million that this council gave to the migrants came from the opioid settlement funds. I am here on behalf of the Jones family, on behalf of the 37th Ward, on behalf of Black Chicago, on behalf of the entire city to ask you all to vote no and put that money back in the opioid settlement fund. We need that money in my neighborhood. We need that on my block. That woman should not be at Cook County Jail because she's grieving over a random act of violence that caused her to lose her child in front of her face when the city of Chicago has millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to give to people who ain't paid a dime into the tax base. We've been in my building for 52 years. We're about to pay some more taxes. The Jones family has been in their building for 45 years, paying taxes every year on time. So I'm asking y'all to use our tax money for our people. We need it. We got people leaning. We got people rocking. We got overdosing. We got pass out lines. You live on the west side, Mayor Johnson. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We need the money for us. We need opioid treatment on the west side of Chicago. We are the headquarters of the cartel, and everybody in here knows it. They selling more drugs than the law can allow, and y'all giving money back to them because they traffic those people up here, so we paying them going and coming. Absolutely not. We pay too much. It costs too much money to live in this city. Help Wanda Jones. Help every other grieving mother who feels like she has to go get high to get over the loss of her child. This is a woman who lived in that house. She still sleeps in that living room where her daughter passed out and bled to death. So I'm asking.
And by the way, hey, look, everyone's allowed to wear what they want. People are asking in the chat, what does her hat say? It says, "Make America Great Again." That's what it does say. There is a MAGA movement that is happening on the west side neighborhoods and the south side neighborhoods of Chicago. And it is a pushback and response towards a lot of the policies that have been implemented by Mayor Brandon Johnson and his administration. And it's a treasure trove of many things about why people are upset. Not only is it the migrant crisis, but it's also housing, lack of affordable housing. Small businesses are being shut down. It pains my heart to say this, but State Street and Michigan Avenue, which are very popular streets, a lifeblood, a life artery of Chicago commerce, many businesses are being boarded up, shut down. It's like a ghost town. I remember one night actually trying to go to the movies, and I actually saw what was once the hustle and bustle location of State Street and Michigan Avenue, a dead silent. Yes, there were people out there, of course, but not the normal amount that I remember. Buildings, powerful places of real estate, shut down.
Y'all to say no, put these people on the back burner and put the money back in the opioid fund. We need that money. Thank y'all.
Now, I do want to quote Silver Surfer here. You can't help others if your house isn't in order. And yes, Chicago's house is not in order. I want to pull up this video here as well.
Now, to align yourself with somebody who's obviously a one-term mayor, if he even makes it that far, you better be worrying about your job. You better be worrying about your longevity, because we're going to vote and we're going to get you out because you ain't doing right by us. That's what time it is.
Chicagoans furious and sounding off on Mayor Johnson's plan to tack on another $70 million to migrant funding. Frustration building to the point that some voters are now working to get him out of office, as you heard that constituent there saying. Garrett Tenney live in Chicago with the story.
Now, if they're able to secure that 56,000 plus signatures, and they're going to have to do it, and to those people, I encourage them to do so. not because of anything against Mayor Brandon Johnson, but because this is the proper deterrent to stop another potential Mayor Daley Sr. and Mayor Daley Jr. administration. Both of them have ruled, Old Man Daley and Daley Jr., 20 plus years. That's 40 plus years collectively between them. Obviously, there were administrations that took place between Old Man Daley and Daley Jr., but the city cannot afford another king, a dictator for life. And Rahm Emanuel was this close to becoming the next person to do so. Dare I say it, he had his third election campaign in the bag, were it not for the shooting death of Laquan McDonald. There must be accountability and term limits, and this is something I support because the people need to break the Democratic machine. You want to see voter engagement for those who have been critical of Chicago voters? You want to see enthusiasm? Then everybody across the board from this nation should be encouraging people here in Chicago to step up and sign that petition. Sign that petition so that voices are heard and that finally the office of mayor is brought down a peg. It needs to be done. Corruption has gone too far in this city. And the one way to make accountability is to deal with the main office that for too long has had control over all the citizens of Chicago. My family's been living in the city for generations, starting with my great-grandfather and ending with yours truly. We must push back.
Hi, Garrett.
Yeah, Dana, good morning to you. This migrant issue has become an Achilles heel for Mayor Brandon Johnson, so much so that there are now multiple efforts underway to vote out Democrats and the mayor. We saw that yesterday at the city council meeting where several groups of black voters showed up wearing red shirts with the words "No More Blue, Go Red," and "Turn Chicago Red." Many of these folks are lifelong Democrats who are now actively working to shake up deep blue Chicago, specifically because of how the mayor and the governor have handled the migrant crisis, doling out more than $1 billion so far for that. And here they are warning the mayor and city council about transferring another $70 million from the city's rainy day fund to take care of the migrants.
We need that money in my neighborhood. We need that on my block. So I'm asking y'all to use our tax money for our people. We need it.
Now, I do want to play another video here of one of the other voters, one of the other women who were speaking out. And she really had something to say to the city council. Let's go ahead and play it.
So Christmas is coming early this year. We're going to check that list when you go up on that wall for voting, and we're going to check it twice. And we're going to find out who's been naughty or not. Based on how y'all vote. And we're going to start it off.
Yeah, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm rewinding that again. That's just great. Before you do, folks, listen. There's many other scandals surrounding good old Mayor Brandon Johnson. First of all, Chicago lobbyists escaped serious punishment. Oh, they escaped serious punishment for improper donations to Mayor Johnson's campaign. Mayor Brandon Johnson, a guy who probably is now thinking this office isn't worth it. I was not impressed with his campaign, and I felt that he was completely mediocre. And also, by the way, folks, Democratic convention organizers leaning on locals to handle possible migrant surge. That's right. Anticipating Chicago will see a surge of buses bearing migrants from the southern border ahead of the Democratic National Convention in August, organizers say they're relying on Mayor Brandon Johnson and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker to come up with a plan to stave off any ensuing potential chaos. Folks, just going to stop right here real quick. We're going to do everything we can to be properly safe covering the DNC convention, but something tells me that 2024 Democratic Convention here in the city of Chicago is going to be one hell of a show. Please be sure to subscribe to Hard Lens Media. Double check and triple check that you are still subscribed. So let's go ahead and play this video again.
We're going to check that list when you go up on that wall for voting.
Yes.
We're going to check it twice.
Yes.
And we're going to find out who's
No, you're nice. That's right.
based on how y'all vote. And we're going to start it off with Maria Hack. Yeah.
Chicago is coming so angry. Why is all this kind of anti-immigrant coming up? And I want to explain to folks, because if we care too much about black people and had over the decades, as we do without everyone else, we wouldn't be here. Let the money.
All right. That would be Maria Hack.
Hi, Maria.
Definitely, I see you. Don't get sarcastic because we can get jiggy.
Yes!
You sit up here for that first 51 million talking about how you feel about black people and how you have to have the same energy for black people, and you ain't never stood on this floor.
Don't worry, folks. In case you didn't hear it, I will be raising the volume for that clip.
Talking about money for black people. You get on this floor and talk about black and brown because you're somewhere in the middle with it, right? But I'll tell you this, and I'm telling every other black alderman in here today. You vote for the money for these immigrants today, and we coming for them seats. You can believe that. You're gonna stop pimping the black people's plight to get brown people, as y'all call it, money. You're gonna give us our press conference up there on the 3rd floor, keep talking to the mayor's boy with the clink clink from his past. That's why he got to do what the mayor say do. Him and a lot of other ones in here with these shady past. That's why you got to vote the way that you vote. But all of us ain't got shady past. Some of us free out here, and we can vote how we want to vote, and we coming for those seats. Now, to align yourself with somebody who's obviously a one-term mayor, if he even makes it that far, you better be worried about your job. You better be worried about your longevity, because we're going to vote and we're going to get you out because you ain't doing right by us. That's the time it is. And for your law person that's next to you, I'm going to need you to check out that federal charge that I got against those public administrators over there for messing with black people's property. It's federal case number 23CB14590. All right, and on that note, if y'all don't give us our money for the black community, know this: we getting ready to file a federal injunction against City Hall for benign neglect to the south side and west side. You got that?
I love her already. Mayor Brandon Johnson. Okay. What can we learn from this? Chicago's gonna get crazy in August, and I got to give my friends at RBN and Due Dissidents a major heads up to keep their heads on a swivel, as should my team for Hard Lens Media, because we're going to be covering the DNC convention. There's going to be I would be surprised in regards to the turnout, how many groups are going to be there to voice their strong opinions, not only to the Chicago Democratic Party, but to the Illinois Democratic Party, and yes, the National Democratic Party. Chicago right now is a powder keg that's ready to blow. And all these activists and organizers who, look, I get it, trying to be nice and helping out people. I understand the whole concept of a sanctuary city, but I remember asking this question to many activists way early on, 2017, 2018, 2019. Myself and Daniel, we asked these activists and organizers, do you think our city politicians have the infrastructure and resources necessary to maybe take care of these migrants? And we were given two answers. Oh, we got to trust them. You don't know what we know. It's all good. Or, my personal favorite, you guys are being bigots. You're racists. We don't want to talk to you. Well, we're just really asking a question. And as time has gone on, not only was the city ill prepared, but the resources that's happening here is also being diverted away from other communities, black and brown communities on the south and west side neighborhoods of Chicago. Schools are being shut down. Gentrification is happening. You have industrial facilities polluting neighborhoods on the south and west side neighborhoods of Chicago. You have, again, unchecked corruption, police brutality, and I think right now at this point it is fair enough to 100% confirm that this is the straw that's breaking the backs of many Americans in the city of Chicago. Families who've been part of the Democratic Party or voted Democrat for quite some time. I'm in favor of this petition, signing this recall to hold in Mayor Brandon Johnson, to call for the office of mayor to do a recall. Sorry for that stutter. My reasons is because there must be accountability for that office. It has unchecked power. I encourage all of you, my viewing audience, to read the book American Pharaoh. and you'll find out how devastatingly powerful the office of Chicago mayor is. It's not just some random city seat. It is a throne of absolute power, and the people have to take it back. And the current politicians that are running the city council, our current mayor, must be held accountable for their abuse of power. For too long, the city government has been dictating terms to Chicagoans that we can no longer live with. It is extremely expensive to live in this city. There's lack of accountability, lack of social justice at any form. This is only the beginning. And Hard Lens Media will be covering the DNC convention, so stay tuned and subscribe to us. This is only starting. Can't wait to see how this plays out in August.